Imagine, you wake up before sunrise, you step outside your home. The streets that once echoed with merchants, soldiers, and cheering crowds are silent. Smoke rises above the city walls. Shops are abandoned. Families rush through narrow streets, carrying whatever they can hold. The mighty Roman soldiers, the men who once conquered kingdoms, are nowhere to be seen. For the first time in centuries, fear has replaced confidence, and somewhere in the distance, the greatest empire that the world had ever known is taking its final breath. But here's the question that has fascinated historians for centuries. How does an empire that ruled nearly a quarter of the world's population simply disappear? Was Rome destroyed by powerful enemies? Did greedy emperors ruin it? Or did the empire slowly destroy itself from within? And if the strongest civilization in history could collapse, could the same thing happen to powerful nations today? To answer those questions, we must travel back more than 2,000 years to a tiny settlement beside the Tiber River, where nobody could have imagined that history was about to change forever. In the beginning, Rome wasn't an empire. It wasn't rich. It wasn't famous. It was simply a small city surrounded by hills, farms, and neighboring tribes. Life was difficult. Food was limited. Every year brought new threats. But the Romans possessed something that many of their rivals lacked: discipline, determination, and an unshakable belief that their city was destined for greatness. Instead of fearing challenges, they learned from every defeat. Every lost battle made them stronger. Every victory made them more ambitious. Slowly, villages became towns, towns became provinces, and provinces became an empire unlike anything the world had ever seen. Rome didn't simply conquer lands, it connected civilizations. Its engineers built roads that stretched for nearly 400,000 kilometers, linking distant cities across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Its aqueducts carried fresh water over mountains and valleys. Its bridges crossed rivers that once seemed impossible to cross. Its laws influenced governments. Its language shaped the future of Europe. Its military became the most disciplined fighting force on Earth. Roman soldiers didn't just fight. They built forts, constructed bridges, created roads, and transformed conquered territories into thriving cities. Every conquest strengthened the empire. Every victory expanded its influence. Soon, Rome controlled lands from the misty forests of Britain to the scorching deserts of North Africa, from the Atlantic Ocean to the edges of the Middle East. No civilization had ever united so many different cultures under one rule. At its height, more than 70 million people lived under Roman authority. Nearly 1 out of every 4 people on Earth was part of the Roman Empire. Imagine walking through Rome itself. Massive marble temples tower above crowded streets. Merchants sell silk from Asia, spices from Arabia, wine from Italy, gold from distant lands. Thousands of people speak different languages, yet all call themselves part of one empire. Fresh water flows through public fountains. Gigantic arenas entertain tens of thousands of spectators. The Colosseum stands as a symbol of Roman power. Everything about the city tells one story: Rome is unstoppable. People didn't simply admire Rome, they believed it would last forever. Even its citizens called it the Eternal City. And honestly, why wouldn't they? No empire had reached such power. No army seemed capable of defeating it. No king dared challenge it directly. Rome appeared invincible. But history teaches us something remarkable. The greatest threats rarely arrive with warning. Sometimes they grow silently, hidden beneath success. While the world looked at Rome and saw perfection, small cracks had already begun spreading beneath its foundations. Not because of one terrible decision, not because of one devastating battle, but because of hundreds of small mistakes made over generations. Most people never noticed them. The leaders ignored them, and by the time the danger became impossible to ignore, the empire had already begun falling apart. But this wasn't Rome's greatest mistake. In fact, its greatest enemy wasn't outside its borders. It was already living inside the empire itself. And what happened next would change history forever. But if Rome's greatest enemy wasn't outside its borders, what was it? The answer was something far more dangerous than an invading army. It was corruption. As Rome grew richer, its leaders grew greedier. Power became more valuable than serving the people. Instead of protecting the empire, many politicians fought each other for control. Emperors were no longer chosen because they were wise. They were chosen because they had powerful supporters or stronger armies. Some ruled for years, others ruled for only a few months. Some were even assassinated by the very soldiers sworn to protect them. Imagine living in a nation where the ruler changes again and again and again. Each new emperor promised to save Rome. Each blamed the last, and every change brought more uncertainty. The people slowly lost faith. The government stopped working together. The empire that had once conquered the world was now fighting itself. But political chaos wasn't Rome's only problem. Another crisis was quietly spreading through every city, every village, and every home. Money. Wars had made Rome wealthy, but wars were expensive. The government spent enormous amounts on soldiers, forts, roads, and massive public buildings. Eventually, the treasury began to empty, so the emperors searched for an easy solution. Instead of creating more wealth, they reduced the amount of precious silver in Roman coins. At first, it seemed harmless, but soon people realized the coins were worth less than before. Prices began rising. Bread became expensive. Farmers struggled to survive. Merchants demanded more money for the same goods. Families who had once lived comfortably could barely afford food. Taxes continued increasing. Many ordinary citizens abandoned their farms, while others fled their homes to escape debt. Sound familiar? History has shown us many times, when people lose confidence in money, they often begin losing confidence in their leaders too. And while Rome struggled with political chaos and economic decline, another problem was quietly growing, one that would shake the empire to its core. The Roman army, the very force that had built the empire, was no longer the unstoppable machine it once was. Fewer Roman citizens wanted to become soldiers. Years of civil wars, heavy taxes, and declining opportunities had weakened morale. To fill the ranks, Rome increasingly hired foreign warriors. These men were skilled fighters, but many felt loyalty to their own tribes, not to Rome. For centuries, Roman legions had protected the empire. Now, the empire was asking outsiders to defend it. It solved one problem, but created another. Then came the moment that nobody believed was possible. From beyond Rome's frontiers, new forces began moving towards the empire. The Visigoths,
the Vandals, the Ostrogoths, and behind them, the terrifying Huns, whose advance pushed entire tribes westward. For generations, Rome had frightened the world. Now, the world no longer feared Rome. One by one, its borders began to break. Cities that had stood safely for centuries were attacked. Villages were abandoned. Entire provinces slipped from Roman control. And then, the unthinkable happened. The city of Rome itself, the heart of the empire, was entered by enemy forces. For nearly 800 years, people believed Rome could never be captured. Its walls symbolized eternity. Its power seemed limitless. Yet now,